Hello, welcome back, everybody, to Mary Elizabeth Jones Variety Hour.
Hi. The second half, this even the better half.
Yes.
We only get better the more we do it. We just hit our stride after half hour doing this show. Anyway, let me tell you what I've been watching on TV lately. I've been watching. You can get it on YouTube. There's a guy. I'm giving him a plug. I don't know who this guy is, but he got his hands. His name is Jeff Gilbert, and he's been posting all the Jackie Gleason show and the Jimmy Dean show and the Danny Kaye show, all these variety shows. You know, I grew up in the wrong time. I always wanted my own variety show, the Tim Conway show. These are, I mean, everyone knows the Carol Burnett show, but I just been just luxuriating watching these things. So
Yeah,
so
me
go on
too.
YouTube, just go to the guy's name, Jeff Gilbert, and he keeps posting new old stuff, new stuff that's old. So that you can't buy the DVDs for.
Yeah.
So I went to a thrift store and I bought. I think I told you this. I bought 24 CDs for a quarter each.
Oh, wow,
And
that's
then
a
I
good
bought,
deal.
yeah, and then a few days later, you were with me when I went to a different one, and I bought 24 DVDs for a quarter each. And these were good movies. They were like Platoon and The King's Speech, and I mean, they're really good. Not Sunshine, Moonshine. What's it called? What's that movie? Moon, Moonlight,
Oh, yeah.
and then Spotlight. Yeah, all these movies have won Oscars. Everything. I bought all these movies, and I've seen them, so I kind of knew these were like deluxe editions with all the interviews and making of and deleted scenes. My dad is in a deleted scene for a movie called with Ben Affleck and Sandra Bullock called Beyond Expectations or something, and so I got the DVD thinking he would be in the deleted scene. That deleted scene wasn't there.
Was that the one that they filmed at that hotel that got torn down?
Yes, the one on Broad Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Executive.
the Executive Motor
My
Lodge.
dad used to work there.
He used to work
Yeah,
there.
years ago.
What did he do there?
I think he was a janitor or something there.
Yeah,
I forgot what he did. But
because I was kicked out of there once when I was
yeah.
a teenager. I was 16, and someone older, like a 21-year-old, got a hotel room, and then invited everyone where I worked. Something like, I'm not kidding, it's probably 30 teenagers to this hotel room. We all started drinking, and we all had to pile into the bathroom when the hotel detective came. And then when I started wandering around, they caught me, and they were going to call the police, and I was going to be their prime suspect. And all of a sudden, my dad comes around and rescues me, and said, "This guy, in those days, people took a blind eye to kids drinking and stuff, and they and luckily, more important, not that they didn't get in trouble, but my friends, is that if they would have got in trouble, I would have been the stool pigeon or the guy who allowed it to happen, and I would have lived that. Everything's a crisis when you're a kid. Now people have no problem being a whistleblower or the troublemaker, but I always feel a man keeps keeps his that's keeps his word and keeps quiet. You know, if he has to go to jail, he goes to jail. He doesn't. And I'll tell you something else, even weirder. I believe that this. I'm not talking as a 16-year-old or 17-year-old. I'm talking now as a grown-up man. I've learned in the last I don't know 30 years or 35 years that ethics is most important. You got to know right from wrong. You know, saying you're sorry is not. I know people that as soon as they get in trouble, as soon as the going gets tough, they say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and they, "Oh, I guess that's a magic ticket, a golden ticket to make everything all right again." And no, it's not.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about apologies. Apologies aren't worth a damn. People are always apologizing to me for the awful way they they've treated me at times, and I don't want an apology. I want them to suffer the hang. Trouble is they don't suffer. In fact, a lot of people think if you apologize, then that leaves them off the hook. It doesn't leave them off the hook. There are 3 points to a apology, and this is what the 3 points are. First, First, not so much you say you're sorry. You have to. I tell you, 7-year-olds they push a kid down, and then the teacher says, "Now say you're sorry, sorry," and then when the teacher leaves, he pushes down again. That's how kids are. Oh, I said I was sorry. You go, I'm going to say I'm sorry. I had someone yelling at me over and over again, maybe about 30 years ago. And she was going through a bad time. And every time, I think she was going through some rehab or something.
Yeah.
And every time, uh, things cooled down, she'd always come and apologize to me. And about the third time, I was fed up, and I said, I don't want to hear any your stupid apologies because they don't mean a thing. Because if you're going to do it again, you an apology. I want to guarantee it's not going to happen now again. Now, these are the 3 things about an apology. First, you have to be sorry for what you did, meaning that it has to not come out of your mouth. It has to come from your heart.
Yeah.
Or from your soul that you are sorry for what you did. What you did was a wrong thing. Okay. The second thing is, how do I fix this? Meaning that how do I make it back to where it was in the first place?
Yeah.
How how do I fix this? And that's important because if you don't fix it, if you like crash someone's car. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I was careless. Well, are you going to pay for the repairs? You should,
Yeah.
or have your insurance pay, or do something. You have to fix it. Okay. The third thing is probably the most important, and that is never let it happen again.
Right. Exactly.
There's 3 things to an apology. Not, I'm sorry. I said you. I push a kid down. I said I was sorry. Push him. I'm sorry again. I keep making this.
Yeah.
I keep making the same mistake over and over again, and still apologize. Now, part of religion and everything is that we're all sinners and we're all making mistakes, which is true. No one's perfect.
Yeah.
But uh, my my mother was very religious. She was very big in the confession.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church has. And I said, a lot of people that aren't religious, they go to their psychiatrist and they confess their sins to the psychiatrist. And isn't that kind of the same as going to a priest and confessing your sins? She says, no, it's totally different. I said, how's it totally different? She said, well, when you go to the psychiatrist, he said, oh, okay, well, this is how you go. This is how you move forward to the future, which is important. But when you go to a confession in the church, you have to be truly sorry for it and make a effort not to make the same mistakes over and over again. And some you make new mistakes, but not the same mistakes over and over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
actually, I must admit, I was never really that big on confession going to school because I always felt I knew right from wrong, and I didn't do all. I mean, some things I didn't know, and I have to admit they were sins. But for the most part, I tried to live a good life. A lot of churches are very big on saying you're going to go to hell or the devil's going to get you and all this stuff, and that's sort of like blackmail to me.
Yeah.
You should do things because they're the right things to do, not because the devil's going to get you and
Yeah.
bring you to hell. You know.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so you have to be truly sorry for yourself. Now, my mom always gave the impression that she didn't commit any sins,
Yeah.
and I'd see her go to confession all the time, and I'd say, you're the only Catholic in America that goes to confession has nothing to confess."
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Donald Trump does that too.
Yeah.
He doesn't make any mistakes, according to him.
Yeah.
Everyone else makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Let's see. And yeah, go
When
ahead.
I was in Shrek, I met a lot of good friends.
But that's important.
Yeah, and I got to hang out with Elena Smith and Lindsey Bronston. Lindsay played the Sugar Plum Fairy and the Gingerbread Man.
Mm-hmm.
And Elena Smith, I've known her longer than Lindsay,
Mm-hmm.
but she played one of the Duloc girls
Mm-hmm.
and Donkey.
Donkey. That's really good.
Yeah, so
Eddie Murphy in the movie.
yeah,
Was very good.
so I hung out with the two of them on my birthday.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but Elena Smith had to leave early, so
From your birthday or from Shrek?
from my birthday.
Okay.
But she had stuff to do that day. But I got to hang out with her for a little bit, and then Lindsay came by, and we got to celebrate too. So it was really cool.
You know, I remember I told you about the girl that the guy, he said her date looked like he dressed at Clothes R Us.
Yeah.
I knew a girl, and I asked her, what was your date like last night? You know what she said?
What?
He looked like Shrek. Yeah, guys, the poor man.
Lord
Well,
Jesus.
I mean, he probably looked fine, but in her mind, he looked like Shrek.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. I had a kind of a wild night last night. I was home last night, and I got to tell you something. This is the graduation season, and my niece is graduated from high school, and I just want to give her a shout out. She's actually was. I went to her graduation, and she was a big deal. She was the vice president of her class. She was up on the dais with the president. She gave a speech in front of the whole student body and the parents. She's a cheerleader. She's going to William and Mary. She's the greatest high school student in our family ever. Got a scholarship. You know, I thought I was. She was telling me how, or her mother was telling me how that she went to she got accepted at pretty much every college she applied to, but then at that point, usually if you're like me, you go to the best college that accepts you, and then you kind of take the fall or whatever. But when every college accepts you, then you start to shake them down for money. Okay, who's going to give us the best scholarship? And believe it or not, William and Mary gave the best scholarship. So you go with who wants you. Similarly, I applied for William and Mary, and did not get in. I got put on the waiting list. This is when I was in high school, and then UVA welcomed me with open arms. And I said, "Yeah, but I still want to go to William and Mary. I wish they didn't put me on the waiting list." And then somebody says, "You go with who wants you. Dance with who brung you. Don't disappoint the people who actually like you." And that's a good advice I've taken with me, not just in academics, but anywhere I go. Jobs that people offer me, jobs that pay a lot of money, and jobs that don't pay so much, and then jobs where they treat you lousy and all.
Yeah.
Go where they want you. Yeah. And so anyway, so I was home last night because it's been a rather fun last few weeks. And we're starting the summer right now, so we're in June right now. So I'm just going to have a wonderful summer with you and with everybody.
Yeah.
So and probably more shows and everything. So anyway, I watched Jeopardy Masters Tournament was on last night. Now I love Jeopardy. Jeopardy's like my favorite show. There was a half-hour Jeopardy. Then there was an hour semifinals of the Masters tournament, and then there was an hour finals tournament, and then there was Celebrity Jeopardy. So if you add it up, there's 3.5 hours worth of Jeopardy on last night. By 11 o'clock, my head almost exploded trying to answer all those questions, and everything's like boom, 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 boom. You know, Jeopardy is not a show for you have to pay attention what's going on, and and if you miss a question, then you just so what, you go to the next one, you go to the next one, you go to the next. And my favorite game shows are the ones where people
Celebrities get on.
well, so the ones with celebrities are good, like the Hollywood Squares
Yeah.
and the Match Game.
Oh yeah.
And well, if they always seem like a party going on those shows. Kind of is, because they do 5 shows in one day, and then they show them, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So, and they do them in order because the contestants are in order. You know, the guy who wins yesterday's is on today, and then so on. So what happened was they would take a break at the probably the third show after the third show, and they'd all go to dinner, and they'd all get drunk. They'd all be drinking.
Yeah.
And if you watch the Thursday or Friday shows of Match Game, or they're all drunk.
Yeah.
They're all, hey, you know. Now, now, this is a game show, and even though it's fun and it's joking and everything, if I were a contestant on those game shows, hey, I'm trying to win a car here, and you're just making jokes, and you're in a drunken in a drunken stupor. Paul Lynde or Charles Nelson Riley, all those guys, they were all. I think in the case of Paul Lynde, he got fired from drinking too much on Hollywood Squares. He didn't live very long, and lived to be like 50 years old or so. And thus I yeah there was a show I think it Beat the Clock with had celebrities on it, and they were in like stunts with you and stuff,
Yeah.
and I thought to myself, gosh, what if I'm stuck with a lousy celebrity? What if I'm stuck with who's allowed like someone who's not physically challenged person? Like, and you're, Christopher Reeve, is going. I shouldn't say that. Or someone who can't get around, or someone really old like George Burns. You're going to have a relay race with George Burns, and let's see if you can beat Usain Bolt and his contestant. Ah, I used to like Password.
Oh yeah, Password was good too.
Yeah, you know what's kind of neat about Password
Yeah.
is that the new Password. We loved Password growing up. And a password there was they brought back Jimmy Fallon hosted.
And Lucille Ball too.
Well, I'm talking about the new version. Oh, everyone appeared on Password in those days.
Betty White.
Well, Betty White was married to the guy who hosted
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Ludden from a College Bowl,
Ellen Ludden.
from the GE College Bowl. But anyway, Jimmy Fallon. You would think he produces the new Password on. You would think he would be the host of it, but he's not the host. He's the permanent player, celebrity player on the show because he likes playing Password more than he likes. He's given someone else a chance to host it. A lot of ex-football players like Michael Strahan and a few others are now hosting these shows. They all have, I guess, that horse manure personality.
Yeah.
That makes hosting a game show good. But I remember watching a show, the $10,000 Pyramid. It's actually more than. And I remember Tony Randall. Remember Tony Randall?
Yeah.
He always thought he was smarter than everybody.
Yeah.
And he he was on there. He was doing that thing at the end where they give the clues and everything. And this guy was just missing all of them. And then when it was over and he did not win, Tony Randall just clapped his hand and says, "Ha! You deserve to lose. I gave you the greatest clues, and you deserve to lose." After he lost, he got salt rubbed in the wounds by the guy. What else? I remember Password, Match Game. Match Game. I thought they were too busy trying to be funny than actually playing a game. Now, Hollywood Squares could be a hard game, but I thought as I got older, I found the questions too easy. There's another show called Funny You Should Ask. That every question has a joke, and that's a really good show. John Lovitz is on there, and it's produced by Byron Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love these game shows, and I would you know what I'd hate to be though? I'd hate to be the first contestant on a new game show because I wouldn't know how it's played. I'd have to watch it. I've seen like like if it's an old timey show, I could probably figure it out. But
Yeah.
Is there any game show you ever wanted to appear on or anything?
The Price is Right.
The Price is Right. Okay, you can win a lot of stuff on that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you like Bob Barker on there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't. I'm not a big Price is Right fan. For one thing, I tell you why.
Well.
I always feel it's the type of show you watch when you're homesick from school, or if you don't have a job.
yeah.
If you don't have a job, then get a job. Don't watch The Price is Right all day. Um, the Price is Right. Oh, there's a story about The Price is Right. Famous story. It happened about 5 years ago, where somebody they have to showcase at the end, and
Yeah.
somebody got it to the dollar. They hit the mark and won both showcases, and they didn't make as big a deal as you think because it takes like about 6 weeks between filming the show and then showing up. So they had to do an investigation of 6 weeks. What they did was they found out that the guy was a big Price is Right fan, and he was working towards getting on The Price is Right.
Yeah.
And this is what he did. They had the same sponsors, the same prices all the time, and you have to guess. Price is Right. You have to guess the price. So he memorized almost the price of everything there. So when he just did the math in his head, when the showcase came, he got it on the mark. So it's sort of the equivalent of counting cards. They had to let him win, but they made him like they did it. There's a movie, Slumdog Millionaire, where a kid answers all these questions right as the movie goes on, and they don't think that he's this brilliant kid. They think he must be cheating.
Did you tell me one time that George got on it? And,
He was in the audience for The Price is Right, and The Price is Right. You try to. I think that what happens is they interview everybody before they get on, and then they know who they're going to pick, the 5 or 6 people that appear on it, and but it is a surprise. You don't know you're going to get picked, but they make sure they don't want some weirdo on there, so they want to. Maybe that's why he wasn't on there. No, but he was rather disappointed because sadly there was some bad news going on in Richmond, and they preempted the episode he was on. And they preempted it, and he told me, this is in the days of videotape. He says, "I hope you taped it." I said, "I taped it when I got home." They had the trial of somebody, a murder trial that was going on in Richmond at the time. Preempted it, so he never, because he said you could see me perfectly. I'm on an aisle seat in certain shots. You can see me. So, but he never saw him. He saw it from his hotel room. He was in California when it was on. What else can I tell you about Iggy? So yeah, I tried out for You Bet Your Life. We'll have Bill Cosby on it.
Yeah.
I tried out for Survivor, and I've tried out for Jeopardy, and never got on any of them.
Wheel of Fortune was really good too.
Wheel of Fortune is one of those shows that kind of sneaks up on you. You don't think you're going to like it, but then you do. You can't really pull away from it. I think I know what this is. Yeah. Wheel of Fortune is a version of Hangman. It's a fancy version of Hangman. Remember that game you played in the school where you had to guess the word?
Yeah.
And what's his name? Merv Griffin started the show, created the show, like Jeopardy. And when he sold it, I think to Coca-Cola or Columbia Pictures or something, he sold it for something at the time an astronomical amount, like $300 million. And he said, "I am now the greatest winner ever on Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune by getting $300 million for them." Yeah, and yeah, I remember some shows I found. There was a show called The Joker's Wild, and I found the questions very easy on that show. They said, "Who was the winner of the World Series?" Of course, I was a baseball fan. Of course, it was Pittsburgh or the Orioles or something. And they said, "Oh, the Yankees?" No. The creators of The Joker's Wild were put on probation for like 20 years from doing a game show because they were involved in the cheating scandal at the show 21, and they gave what's his name, Herbert Stryker the answers, and then Charles, I forget it, Charles Van Hook or something. I don't know, is it Charles Van Buren, whatever his name was, that they made a movie about with Ray Fiennes and John Turturro. That was Charles Van Doren was his name. Charles Van Doren, and he retired once the scandal was uncovered, that he was given the answers. he was a very telegenic guy. He was a teacher at Cornell University, I think. And once it was, he went back to being a professor and never gave an interview or wrote
Yeah.
about it. He really just slinked back into normal life. And they now, if it would have happened, he would have written a book. He would have appeared on the Jimmy Fallon show talking about it, on the PBS NewsHour, that $4 transcript. But yeah, that the movie is really good though. But the guys who, and then it was, the host was Jack Barry and the producer was Dan Enright, and they weren't allowed to do a TV show for 20 years, and then they went back. There's another movie. It's a recent movie called The Luckiest Man in America or something, about this kind of real schlubby guy,
Oh.
and he appears. They give him a chance to be on the show called Press Your Luck, which has been around a long time. Press Your Luck. And he, just like I mentioned about Price is Right, he memorized the pattern of the lights, and you stop at it, and he knew when to stop at it to get. And usually people, if they win a lot of money on that show in the 70s, won $10,000. He went on to win something like $105,000,
Wow.
which is a lot of money back. It's a lot of money now, but it was a lot of money back then. And they couldn't. They said, well, you followed the rules. You were kind of cheating, but we can't really prove it. So, I mean, we can't prove it that what you did was unethical. But it's very important. In, like I mentioned about Charles Van Doren, they there's a part when he's on trial. You know, he almost went to jail for being part of that scandal in the quiz shows in the 1950s. They said he said, I didn't know what I was up to. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't. And they said, you are a college professor. You are a man of high ethics. You should have known the difference between right and wrong. And yes, it's even worse when a guy like you cheats, because because if another guy does it, it's not such a. I mean, it's kind of expected of him, but a guy like you should know better. And that's how, that's how I kind of live my life.
Yeah.
So try to always do. I've been that way for a while, so I'm actually good at. It's unethical to actually brag about it. But sometimes people come to me and say, what's the legal, what can I get away with, and what should I not get away with? And I sometimes have to tell them. That's part of my job. Anyway, what a show we did.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
We covered the whole gamut today.
Yes.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to do a show with you.
No problem.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for tuning in, and may God bless you.
This is my name is Kaye Lazar. This is Mary Elizabeth, and this is the Mary Elizabeth Variety Hour.
Yes. Amen. God bless you. Take care.